when they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Good evening, everybody. And if you're just tuning in, we already got Zach Man here. I'm just saying hi. Welcome. You're listening to The Thing at the Foot of the Bed, or better yet, watching too on 105.3 and 107.7 out in New Orleans, Louisiana, if I can get my mouth to work. I'm one of your co-hosts, Lorilei Potvin. I am a host on this network also of my own show on Monday nights called, sorry, I was typing in here so you guys can see where we're streaming from tonight. I'll get to that in a sec. I'm a host of the Angel Rock on Mondays nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and registered nurse. And I will introduce my amazing co-host in just 1 second. We got a resident crystal whore here. We've got a Facebook user streaming across the bottom. If you could please head over to StreamYard.com/Facebook and just give them permission to use your name and your picture. Then we'll know who you are, or just let us know in the comments if you don't want to do that, because you just come up this way. Anyways, few little housekeeping things. First of all, keep an eye out. We are a lot of our shows are up for, what is the name of it now? The People's Choice Podcast Awards. So I believe there's a link on www.uprntalkradio.com. David and I are streaming on UFO Paranormal Radio's Network's Roku channel. If you want to find that, you're going to log into your Roku account, sign in, go to the channel store. You're going to look for UFO space P as in paranormal. There's going to be a list that's going to come down. We're about the third or fourth one down. You're looking for UFO, space, paranormal, and United Public Radio. What else do I want to say here? I covered the Facebook because I wanted to let whoever was here, so you can see that's how you come up, so we don't know who you are. And if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends and your family, because there is all kinds of amazing shows on this network, something for everybody. I believe the network's almost 25 years old, because when I started here, my 4th year anniversary is coming up in July, and we were around for well over 20 years then. So we also syndicate a lot of different shows, and we have the archive server running when we're not live. So there is something new and wonderful for everybody there. So check it out. We got new hosts coming too. You're going to love it. I think that's everything. Go ahead, Dave. Take it away.
Hey guys, how you doing? I am David Hanzel. I'm a spiritual medium. I'm a channel. I do Reiki. I do healing. I do all the things. I'm also, you can watch me. You can watch the show right now too on my YouTube channel, The Spirit.
I forgot to tell them where to watch, Dave. If you could
tell them. That's okay. You can watch. No, that's perfect. I'll tell them. You can watch it on my YouTube channel, The Spirit Experience, or you can watch it in my Facebook group, The Spirit Experience, if you are a member. If you are not a member, just go ahead and answer the couple questions, and we'll let you in at some point. That is about it.
No, we got to tell them where else, Dave. We got to tell them where else. Sorry, you guys, I forgot to say this.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to be part of the conversation, you can comment where David suggested. I'm also streaming on my YouTube channel. I've said hi on here somewhere. I don't know if it came up or not. I'll have to double check. It's Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin, but better yet, please head over to UFO Paranormal Radio, either on Facebook or YouTube. Those are our network channels, and we can see your comments there. There you go, Dave. I just wanted to throw that in there. Go ahead.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And off we go. You guys, if you put that in there, if you read my bio thing in my Facebook group, I put that. Me and Lorilei decided we were just gonna let the conversation be directed by you.
Well, we had some ideas, though. We could start off with one of them. You pick, because we had so many different ideas.
Well, let's see. We had a couple we were going to discuss a little bit. One was we can't show it on here because we don't have permission, but the baby.
Oh yeah, I didn't ask. Yeah, I should have
Yeah, we
asked.
don't have
Yeah.
permission, but it was, I will have to say, if you can find it, or maybe Laura can get permission and post it in the Angel Rock group sometime.
Let me, it's not in my group. It's in Haunted AF. For any of you that know
Oh,
Rocky Gates. He goes by Christopher Rocky Gates on Facebook. He is with a lot of the bigger paranormal people. He's done documentaries. He's done all kinds of stuff. There's a little private chat that our groups, when we have groups, can come up in Messenger. And one of the people in there posted it, and I sent it to Dave. Now it's hard to see, but it's interesting, definitely interesting. We're not sure what we think. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry, I'll see if I can get a hold of them.
no, that's okay. So we were talking about this, the baby. It is a really good. Somebody took it's a night camera of the child in the crib, but his little feet seems to look like somebody's trying to like lift him up by the feet a little bit, and it wasn't like lift it up in the air and shake it. It was like literally, gingerly picked it up and then set it back down. And the baby didn't even seem to be bothered by it. Now, we were talking about this, the fact that whenever we see stuff like that, the first thing, we go, hey, that's really cool. Let's see what happened here. Let's see how many things we can come up with what it isn't. And so that's the first thing we did. But, I for that particular one, if you see it, unless it was a really good fake by somebody, I mean, it would have to be really good. I can't. This is the first. I am, and I'm the debunking king, queen, whatever. But I could not find anything in that video that I could debunk upon.
I'm
And
asking right now, so we'll see. Go ahead. Sorry.
okay, and I also do know I have personally witnessed some very strange things that most people might find spooky. I guess I don't find it as spooky because I'm more used to it, I guess. I know people are alone. Like if people would stay overnight in my house, they would, they probably hear a bunch of stuff, and they might get scared, but I don't, because I know it's in my house and it doesn't really
I
bother me.
never had, now that you say that, I never had any adults stay over. Now, my son would have sleepovers when the kids were little, but now that I think of it, in my previous home, I never had anybody stay over. So I wonder, other people did experience activity in our home, though. I do.
Probably. I mean, when I was younger, we didn't have any kids stay over. I never had sleepovers,
Oh,
and
no?
basically for the reason, well, my house when I was like up to probably about like 8, 9 years old, we had a lot of activity in our house. I mean, and it wasn't just by me. I mean, my entire family knew it was there. I mean, you could not hear stuff. I mean, it was unbelievable. And we used to have like I remember some of the scariest things. Me and my brother Kevin, when we were little, we both had twin beds in the upstairs bedroom, and his bed was next to a wall socket. And I remember us both trying to go to sleep, and he fell fast asleep. It was pulled away a little bit. He fell fast asleep, and I was in my bed. And I kind of remember I was agitated, and I don't know why. I can't remember that. I was young. But I remember being agitated when I was awake, because I remember when I looked over, all these sparks started flying out on his bed. And it was the socket. And so my dad called somebody, and this was back in, the 70s, 6, 7, 8, 9, 77, like 71, 72. They called somebody over, and back then, I mean, there was always faulty wiring, you know. Um, but they didn't find anything, although it did melt the wires. It melted the wires in there.
You know
So
what, though? That's so interesting that you mentioned that, because, hi, Nicole. Because with our house, before we really knew about what was going on paranormal, like nothing ever went right in that home with my first husband. And I remember I never stayed up like I do now. I am a night person, but my ex-husband was such a morning person that I just go to bed at night too and get up at the crack of dawn, plus having little kids then. And I remember we could smell smoke, and we were looking all over the place. And at the front door of the previous home, there was actually heat vent, but there used to be like a light socket through it. Was really weird. No, there was a light. Sorry, not a light socket. Now I remember. It was like a plug-in, like right in the floor at the front door, which was a really dumb space to be, because if you came in, excuse me, with wet shoes or snow, you could short out the light socket or the electrical socket. So I remember we were smelling this. We couldn't figure out what was going on. All of a sudden we started to see smoke coming out of it. And we weren't sure what the heck was going on. And we're looking through it. I think my, he won't care if I say his name, Earl, was my ex-husband's name. We were looking and it looked like one of the wires had a little red hot coal on it. So we had like the fire department and everybody in there. They said it was okay too, but it was so weird. Like, what did they think caused the sparks on your end, Dave?
They didn't. I don't think that anybody ever really knew. I really don't. I don't remember their saying that they knew. My mom still remember it. My mom, if you guys want to hear some ghost stories that me and Lorilei have had, just so you know why we probably aren't as afraid. My little brother was inebriated one night, and he went, and my mom still talks about it. Oh, she talk about it. He took my brother's urn. My brother was cremated after he left here, and he grabbed his urn and he took it outside and he was holding it over he was like holding over the porch. He was like the outdoors porch. He was holding it out there, screaming about stuff and holding it and just being, he was wasted. Mm-hmm. And my mom got mad, and all of a sudden the family room lamp that they have, it just started flickering nonstop.
And they're going, knock it off.
Oh, no, I won't tell you. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, I know it was him, but we tried to debunk that. And I came over and we checked the lights there. It's screwed in. It's fine. It has never done it since, ever. And the light bulb's screwed in, and the lamp just works normal. And I wondered if now that could be two things though, because I also know that sometimes living people can put an energy out that spreads too. So it might not have even been like my brother, but yeah, it could have been from all the anger that was in the house may have caused that. If people don't think that emotions can't cause things to go wonky in your house,
yeah, they can.
Coming. It does. Don't you agree, Lorilei?
Well, I know somebody who's quite well versed in the paranormal, and we used to have a paranormal panel on here with any of the hosts that were available when we had an open spot. We do. Joe, the owner of the network, and give him a shout out, Joe Montaldo. Thank him. He's got a host, or he is a host of his own shows on the network here. He's got UFO Undercover on Wednesday nights. He's got the Centralist Friday night. I gotta ask Michelle, our station manager, she's still doing the Gray Zone Uncensored on Saturday with him. But anyways, I want to thank him because he has this space for us here. He's created all this out of his home. He broadcasts out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Anyways, we had a paranormal panel. Big, long way to get to this story. And I remember one of the people on the panel was saying that they felt like one of their daughters was experiencing activity and seeing things move and seeing all kinds of things. And they were kind of in the middle of puberty. They were like a younger teenager. And this parent is quite capable of checking in with the other side to see what's going on, plus debunking everything, and finally realized that what was going on. And they said with teenage girls, I can definitely vouch for that, when we go through all the hormonal stuff that we do and emotions and what have you, with just puberty as it is, that apparently it's quite common for girls in the puberty to teenage era to be able to be very telekinetic with the depth and breadth of their emotions. Big, long story, but.
Oh, no, because actually I can't cite the source. I knew that years and years ago about when actually if you got 8 teenage girls in a room and they all convey the same emotions at the same time, it can make things go wonky, like excitement. There's the ones where like girls, they're like, they're younger girls and they're just having their fun and they're yelling and screaming and hollering, and all of a sudden a lamp breaks or a light bulb smashes. And they're like, what is that from? It could be from the energy. I'm not
Or
saying.
the girls start screaming because they're all telling ghost stories at a sleepover, and then that happens, and then oh my goodness, that's when the whole thing just goes to hell in a handbasket because the girls think that the Slender Man has shown up and he's making his presence known.
Back when we were younger, though, do you know what? I can remember when I was younger and people, I did in a situation where people would tell ghost stories. I was always so excited about it till they got to the end, and I was always so peed off. I'm like, wait, really? No, that was stupid. I wanted something good.
I never liked scary movies. I still don't like, even if I know how the movie's going to turn out, like I've seen it before, I can't stand sitting through suspense, and I hate jump scares. Like I know it's coming, but I still don't like it. I don't like to watch scary movies.
Horror movies aren't as good anymore.
People were still talking about Kevin Bacon last week, like a couple days ago, because we brought up Kevin Bacon. Like people were going on and on and on about Kevin Bacon. If you weren't here last week, you got to check out last week's show. We were talking about the Speedo Kevin Bacon was wearing in Friday the 13th, the first movie. I have a picture posted, you can see it, and I think we showed it during the show last week, didn't we? I talked about it on the Angel Rock. We showed it on our show, right?
Yep, and Nicole, who's up there right now. Hi, Nicole. I showed out computers and TVs. Let's address that. Nicole came up with the best thing for the Kevin Bacon thing with a thong. Do you remember what that?
The thong at the end of the bed.
The thong at the end of the bed. Oh my God. What thong's at the end of your bed? I don't know. I hope they got you dinner first.
I think I was laughing for about a minute and a half during this show with that one. Oh, you know what we should do? I don't know if Shannon is working and our paranormal poopers are listening, but if you are, so those of you who don't know who the paranormal poopers are, they named themselves. I didn't, and Shannon didn't name them. I mean, Dave and I didn't name them. So they are an older group of people. They are within a hospital setting, and Shannon is a nurse, and she sits and listens to our show while she does her paperwork. And I guess one of the residents, as she calls them, was hearing what she was listening to and was quite interested. And I guess it's kind of grown into a group. So they gather around the iPad to listen to our show, and they've named themselves the Paranormal Poopers.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing now. Okay, Nicole said how she changes things, and then Sandra said never wore a watch until the last few years because I always shorted out the batteries. I had a wind-up watch at one point in my teens, but it disappeared, lost versus stolen. Who knows? You can contact the Akashic Records sometimes. I can show you.
You can.
But anyway, that's a whole nother one we'll talk about. I'm studying the Akashics right now.
I have taken the Akashic Records. I introduced myself. I don't even remember. It's like on automatic drive here, but I actually have taken my first level in Akashic Records as a practitioner, and my second. I'm still going through some of the stuff. And guess what I'm taking right now? I never stop learning. I am sick of it. I am taking an animal communication course.
Yep.
Because I feel, and see, I still learn. Dave still learns. We all do, because you know what?
Yeah.
I always suggest you work with a variety of different mentors.
Exactly.
Because I signed up for 2 courses, and the one teacher, I just love her. Oh my God, she's so funny.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big goofball. I love to have fun and enjoy myself, and that's what you got to do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in animal communication too, like mediumship, animal communicators do it differently too. Everyone's separate and different too, but it's always good to learn from others. Sandra Sharp and Nicole had posted about stuff going off in there. I have thought about it over and over, and everybody says, why don't you just ask your spirits and they'll give you the answer? Well, sometimes I don't get the answer because it has to come through discovery.
I want to answer this in a minute when you're done. I'm going to explain something in a second.
Okay. But anyway, sometimes it's not, it almost feels to me like it's not coming from the human energy. It's coming from the soul energy, I think. It's almost like your soul came in and it has like this extra layer of, I don't know, radio waves around it. The only reason and I don't know how to put it, because the only reason I ask is that I had asked my guides a long time ago why that would happen. And what they did is they showed me a picture of a spirit, like how I would see them or whatever, which is kind of just like a fuzzy outline. It's not a human body, but it's got the shape. And it had this extra thing, it had this extra light around it. And I don't know. Sometimes I think it has to do with navigation. And the reason I say it has to do with navigation is because people who have that, compasses go absolutely crazy around some people. They just start spinning. And I wondered if that had something to do with it. That's just my 2 cents worth. That's only my opinion. That's only what I've been studying so far about it. One day I'll figure it out. I promise you.
Well, I've known people that can't wear watches. They'll break them. Now whether they like, and I know one person in particular, Dell's aunt, can't wear one, and she has no interest in spirituality and energy or anything. She's no disrespect, but Jehovah's Witness, so she wouldn't even be looking into this kind of stuff, knowing her and who she is, and she can't wear a watch. Now, I'm going to answer Sandra's thing here in just a sec. So Nicole, I'm going to post the link in the chat here off of YouTube. So you said, where do you take courses like this at? It is the dailyom.com. And the beautiful thing is they give you a price point to be able to pay. So they want everybody to be able to access it. And I think that's such a beautiful thing that they offer that. And I know the two people
let's give them a big shout out, because I also have taken many, many courses on there. In fact, that's how I learned how to make my own podcast. One day I just said, I want to make a podcast. And I went on and I found, that was on the Daily Om too.
You guys, they're amazing. And I like that they do this. Now, I can tell you,
I'm sorry, but the Daily Om I also took, because you know what I learned? I watched the Intuitive Tarot thing on the Daily Om.
Oh, they wanted to change it to Daily Motion. Okay, what I was going to say, though, with the Daily Om, the two girls that I'm taking the course with, I follow them. They are well known in the animal communication thing. But I'm glad Dave brought this up. It's not just spiritual stuff. Like, there's all kinds of courses on there. So when you're going to go to the link, I just posted it. It should show up in a sec. You guys can go there, look under courses, and if you don't see what you're looking for, search for it. You wouldn't believe it. And they offer, I think it's 25, 50, and then 125, I think, but you get to pick what price point, if you're able to afford it or not. And you know what? They deserve a huge shout out. Now, yep. Sandra, you have said animal communication is easy. I know I am standing in my own way. Dave and I have had many conversations about this. My children communicate with animals. My eldest does since they were babies. And my eldest says the same thing. It's so easy, but I'm going to point something out here. It's very easy when it comes naturally, and it's something maybe you've always done or you've mastered it. For people that are learning and say they really want to do it, and I've run into people like this, we get in our own way, because I believe that when we connect to the other side, it's meant to flow. It's almost a birthright, if you will. And so when we keep wanting to do it so badly, and we see this all the time as teachers, Dave will probably say the same thing, that you get, everybody you'll have a whole group, say online, and everybody's practicing an exercise. And then there's always one or two that don't feel or sense or see anything. And it happens week after week after week. And then they really feel like they're broken, or that they just can't connect or whatever. So I hear what you're saying. It is easy, but sometimes it's not easy if it's an extra skill that you want to learn, such as myself. Go ahead, Dave. I know you're going to say something.
I was going to say in animal communication, it's all about the trust. It really is with the animal communication. Listen, when this is funny, and I don't know if Sandra or anybody else, or you might even experience this. People always ask me, how does when the animal comes in, how do you know it's an animal? For me, this is I didn't know I could do it. It was a new skill that I got when after my near-death experience. It was just a skill that happened. And then Ariel, which is a guide or an angel that I speak with, is the one that pretty much just kind of teaches me how to do this stuff.
She's in charge of the animal realm. Not in charge, but you know what I mean? Like, you usually work with Ariel when you're going to...
Yeah, she has a big thing to do with it. And when I'll be sitting there doing a reading, and all of a sudden I'll get a thought which isn't mine. It'll come in my head, and it'll say, uh, dog, medium size, brown white fur, or it's short tail like this, and then I'll just see, and I'll just hear that, and right away I've learned of all these years. As soon as that thought starts coming in, I just start repeating it. I don't even second guess it. I just go, I have a dog here. It's medium size. It's brown, white patch right here. And, they're, oh, yeah, that's my, and then they start talking. And as soon as they recognize who it is, it's really funny. As soon as the person recognizes it in their soul that that's their animal, the communication just starts to flow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
you helped me. He didn't even see Emmy at the time. We were chit-chatting a couple summers ago, and you picked up so much stuff. Like you picked up what was going on with the neighbors and the dog that they had there. And the reason why, what had happened, Dave and I were chatting, and I was in the backyard, and she's laying at the foot of my bed, speaking of the foot of the bed, and Ember, or Emmy as we call her. And she was outside. She started to just go ballistic at the dog next door, which was a younger dog, and my dogs always loved her. And Dave just said, do you mind? May I? And then so I said, absolutely. I said, I can't figure out what the heck's going on with her. She was fine. And then we figured out what it was all about through David, but he hadn't even seen Emmy. But I never forgot you saying this, Dave. When you connected to Ember, you went, oh my, is she ever chatty? And I went, look who her mother is.
Some animals are really chatty, and some animals are more quiet. They're more reserved. But it's not that that's what it's their person. They're trying to show you their personality, how they were here.
Yeah.
So that's why. Lizzie McLeod.
Good question. That's why I highlighted it.
Yeah, we'll both answer this one because we have two different sets of eyes here. Well, actually, four different sets of eyes here. So Lizzie says, "Hi, Lizzie. So when you see spirit, can you tell what they fully look like in the physical body, like when they were here? How about you, Lorilei?"
Not always. I can go first if you want.
Go ahead.
Not always. So that was the biggest shock for me, because I'm very clairaudient. So I hear spirit all day long. I don't hear voices, but I'm in conversation with spirit all day long. So mediumship came in a little bit later for me when I knew about my gifts. And I took it from a sign when it was a patient that I had in the NICU. It was a set of twins, a boy and a girl. A little one, the boy was very ill. And then when I worked out in the community, he came back on my caseload again. He had cerebral palsy, and I hurt my back, and I've not been able to go back into physical nursing. And this was quite a few years ago, but I was out shopping at Christmas time, and I ran into this set of twins' mom, and she gave me a big hug. And as I went to hug her, I heard, "Tell my mommy I love her." And I try not to cry when I tell this story, because as I hugged her, I heard that. And then she said his name, and the mom, and she said he just passed away a few months ago. And I told her how sorry I was, and we started to cry. And I said, I think I already knew that. I said, because you're not going to believe this, but I just heard, "Tell my mommy I love her." And then I had a couple other messages like that weekend from various other patients, even though I wasn't working. So when something shows up in our field, I pay attention, as most of us do in this field especially, and explore it. Why is it showing up? And that's where I went with the mediumship. Sorry for the long story, but for me, the biggest shock was that mediumship for me is like going to a different country, because I never know how they're going to show up. It could be a feeling, could be a color, could be a sensation, could be a smell, could be a taste. Sometimes I see them, sometimes I hear them, sometimes they show symbols, and sometimes it's a mixture of all of the above. So you just never know. I do want to give one quick example, Dave, and then I'll stop, because Dave will give you an answer at this too.
Yeah.
For example, I work with two ladies I connect with over on the other side a lot. We get together, and it's a long story. But anyways, we were connecting to somebody that was well known. And one of them is our channel, we'll say. So she's the one that usually does the communication. But I've been lately been hearing this individual as well and seeing them, and it's quite funny. But my whole point is, we were talking about what he was wearing as we were together. and he completely appeared differently to my friend, who usually is the channel, versus what I saw. And this person has been on TV before and all kinds of stuff. So were we seeing him wrong? No, because spirit has the ability to show us, and I think they show us what they know either we will connect to be able to pick up what it is, like Dave shared as the dog, but more importantly, the person you're connecting with and passing the message along, so they will recognize that as their loved one. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Oh, you're exactly correct. We have to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, it's different every time. I did a reading just the other day, and right at the end of the reading, we're like had like a couple of minutes left. The question was, can you just see if you see my brother? And I'm like, sure, because that's how I am. I'm like, yeah, I'll see. And it's basically, I'm not afraid if they don't show up. I'll just tell them I don't got it, or they're quite aware of my time. They really are. When they come in to speak to us, they're aware of our time. But anyway, she said, oh, I can't say his name on here, but she said, can you see if my brother Bubba's here? And immediately, as soon as they said that, they kept showing me a flash of every picture of a man with red hair. So I went, gentleman, red hair? She said, yes. And I said, head's all messed up. And she goes, well, kind of. I guess he committed suicide that way. But but I mean, it was so quick, and he's fine, But so I didn't see him at all. But a lot of times, as I'm talking to people, it's hard to explain because I can see, well, most of us can, but I can see visions and see things with my eyes open. I don't have to close my eyes to see.
Oh yeah, I never close them. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have to close. Yeah. A lot of mediums don't. The images just show up, like not in our head. Mine show up like in front of me. They're not in my head. They're in front of me. So
mine's in my mind's eye, how I see them.
Yeah.
They don't show up in front of me.
Exactly. So they'll sometimes show me a picture of themselves, or I'll just see the outline of them just enough to start giving them details. But I never, ever, ever see them exactly as the person I'm sitting in front of sees them. And this is the reason why. This is my first time seeing them. We all see the same thing different. If I were to hold up a red apple, we will all pretty much have, outside of it's being red, we will all have a different description of it. So some will say it's like this shape, some will say it's a fat apple, some will say there's a mark on the top. We just notice things different. But that's it. But a lot of times too, I do see a lot of them as a wispy figure. When I do investigations and I'm walking a house, I notice that when I see a spirit, even though the lights are off and all that, if you ever looked at a road where it's really hot and you see that ripple above
the vapor, yeah.
I see that in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, there's something over there. I can see it. And every time there's been something over there. So I'm assuming that's just how they.
I gotta ask you a question though. Okay, first I'll give an example and then I'll ask you. So I was talking to someone I don't know. It was somebody my partner Del went to high school with, and I've gotten to kind of know her a little bit, but I never met her mom, never met the parents in any way. And her mom showed herself to me. And I didn't know for sure if it was her mom, but I could hear her. I'm her mom. And so the way she showed herself to me, I can still see her actually. And I asked this woman and she said, oh, that would be my mom. And she actually said, you kind of remind me a bit of my mom. She said, with your coloring and stuff. And then she sent me a picture and I went, yeah, that's who I'm seeing. But I said, she must have had her hair longer. I said, because I see it about halfway down her back and really straight and whatever. And I was describing this outfit and she didn't have the picture handy, but she goes, oh yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, she did. Yep. She wore her hair like that. Because I find if somebody too, not always, there's just when you think, you got it all settled down, something happens and spirit throws something else in there. But I find when people have really, really strong energy, like maybe they're that kind of person in life, a lot of times, especially for me, I will see them. Like I can tell you another individual, they came through one night when I was doing free one question readings, I could hear their laugh. I could hear everything. And then I remember I did a reading once over in Japan, and the mom that I was trying to connect with was very quiet, very subtle energy in life. And that's very much how she came through. And she never spoke much in life. So she doesn't mean she wasn't going to speak from the other side, but she was a woman of few words, I'll say. I found the difference. What about you, Dave? Do you find that at all?
I've had that before too with people. They a lot of times when spirit, if for people listening and who are wondering, when spirit comes in, they are going to temporarily take on the persona that they were when they were here. So they may talk about missing you. They may talk about things that made them angry or something, but it's not that they feel it. They're basically, it's like, okay, if you guys watched like Family Guy, never seen Seth MacFarlane on a talk show, he'll like
Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, okay. I'll say. So Seth MacFarlane, if anybody knows who that is, this is a really good example of how it goes. So say you go to see a show, Seth MacFarlane's in it. He's the creator of this show that you like. And all of a sudden they talk about, he does the voices of Brian, he does the voices of Stu.
I know. Oh my God.
Yeah. So if he's sitting there and we say, hey, Seth, we want to connect with Stewie. He will do his persona of Stewie. You can see it in his face. You can see it in his mouth. He will talk just like him when we know that's Stewie.
Yeah.
And then we'll say, and then he'll stop, go back and talk and be, Seth again. So basically when we call in somebody or ask for somebody to show up, they, for those moments or for that reading, they try to be themselves how they were here, so we recognize them. Now on the other side, trust me, you'll recognize them. Don't worry about that. Go, how am I going to recognize them if they're totally different people? Keep this in mind. We gather up personality traits and everything through eternity, so we are way more than just the person that was here in this one lifetime. Way more. You do keep certain traits, like if somebody's like an a-hole or sarcastic in every life, they probably most likely are sarcastic in spirit as well. But some stuff disappears. You might have came into this life and been a real ladies' man or something, but when you go back there, that might not be your personality at all. It's just something you picked up while you were here or the part you were playing. So just so you guys know.
Yeah, they'll do that. Or that's what my experience has been as well. But for example, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I'm just going to say it. For example, and sometimes we're not doing a spirituality thing here tonight, but just off track for a sec. Sometimes people come into our lives, we make agreements with them, and maybe that agreement's over, whatever it may be. Sometimes people come and go throughout our lives. There's certain two individuals in my life that are very close, say bloodline, we'll say. And I did everything not to cut off that relationship, right? Because you're never supposed to cut off a relationship with family. And I made peace with it, that God forbid something had happened to them, say the next day. Would I have regrets? No, I don't. Because I really do know that the conversations that need to take place really will come when they're over on the other side. Now, whether I'm here or joining them, because that's truly who we really are on the other side. Like Dave said, I love what you said, Dave, the role we're playing. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, basically that's what you are playing as a role. I was going to say something. Oh, actually, I'm going to get a little spooky here.
Okay.
Spooks. Spooky. So with what we just said about, my hair just keeps falling in my face and tickling it. When we talk about spirits coming in, I want to address spirit ghosts. Okay, we'll call them ghosts. So when we go to a place for investigation and there is a ghost there, that ghost has most times, not all of them, but most of them, have not transitioned all the way to the other side. Therefore, they are completely the role they are playing, even without their physical body. And it must be annoying after a while to be stuck in that role. You can't further yourself for anything whatsoever. But know that if you are somebody who's a spirit in close, in close to the physical realm, you're probably stuck with that entire personality. So you could totally shock a ghost if a ghost, like, say, every ghost, of course, is from Elizabethan times or something. You never hear, we never see like an 80s ghost anywhere,
Actually, you're right about that.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see the 80s ghosts. I want to see them.
We will get into George Michael on the other side and Prince. Maybe we'll go to a haunting one day, Dave, when we meet in person. We'll ask for some 80s ghosts.
Can we please talk to the 80s ghosts? They're like, I like big butts, and they can't deny.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they show up, if you are talking to a spirit that maybe passed away 100 years ago, and you're speaking to them in your time frame now, they don't understand our time frame because they're still in theirs. It's almost like this is totally they haven't progressed. So they're still in their timeline. You're asking them questions from here. They might not understand the English you're using, for crying out loud. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. And then if they've been around long enough at a certain place, like they're not traveling, like maybe they just stick to the bathroom or something in a certain location. There's so many notoriously haunted places that people visit.
Yeah.
I haven't run into a spirit that doesn't know what I'm talking about, and I think the ones that are kind of resident ghosts wherever you go kind of thing, I think they kind of pick up on the lingo, because you'll know that like I've seen so many of them that'll know like what a spirit box is or K2 meter or whatever, right? Yeah. But I know what you're saying. Like, say you just happen to go to a house that might be haunted and it's like 200 years old. Like, yeah, you could run into somebody that had no clue. But the other thing I've always wondered is, especially say you've got, residual haunting, that's just something that happens over and over. It's like an energy loop, right? But say you've got an intelligent haunting with spirit, and I've often wondered, what do they see that we don't? Because you'll see video or hear people that you'll see an intelligent haunting or apparition, and it'll be going through the wall where the door used to be, but the door has been now walled over. And I've often wondered, what did they see in their time? Like, it could be an absolute derelict building, but could it be really beautiful and splendorous like it was when they were alive, like 100, 200 years ago?
Yep, they could be. Liz,
I know. Yeah.
Liz said, so if a spirit doesn't fully cross over, do they still have the freedom to visit other places? I've heard several things from spirits, not from people, but from spirits. Most of the spirits who are, they're not stuck, but they choose to go for whatever reason, maybe out of fear or something or what. No, those ones don't travel at all from where they are. And then there are spirits that, and this is funny, and it's true. I've talked to many spirits who kept telling me, I'm in two places, I'm in two. And what they're telling me is they're already all the way over, but they literally come visit this house as people are going through it because they're fulfilling something people wanted to see. So they're in two places, so they can travel. You as a spirit can come. Well, if you're in spirit, you can't come. You can't stay in the physical realm for long. If you did, you'd be a ghost.
You wouldn't want to, though, but we're not limited by time or space on the other side, right?
Yeah, you really wouldn't desire it. I can't think of anyone who would actually want to desire it unless they were actually coming in here for incarnation.
That's why I said, too, if you think about it, before you even asked this, Lizzie, and David answered it, I was talking about the ghost that maybe the resident ghost that only hangs out in the bathroom at an old, notorious haunted place, is because exactly where they are is where they seem to stay. And if you watch anything, I just watched a really good episode on the Paranormal Files. He drives me crazy when he screams like a little girl. Sorry, Colin, you got a great channel though otherwise. But when they go to a notorious place, you have, say, a tour, And the people that do the tours and they work there, they will tell you where everybody is. Like, so-and-so is here. This is their room, and this is where they stay, and this is where they stay. Because for whatever reason, they haven't crossed over. So I have to agree with you, Dave. Yeah, they tend to stay, or they can even, I've seen just an object attached even to an object. So
What's really weird is this too. And this one, one day I will figure out a way to prove it to you guys, but I have saw it myself, and my guides have explained it to me too. Some hauntings, like say we go into the house across, say there's a house across the street from you that's vacant and everything, and you go into that house and there's somebody who used to hang out there. They might not be related to the house, but everybody says there's a ghost in that house. Sometimes there's imprints or transplants. So it's almost like our world is imprinted on another world. So where that house is could literally be a bustling city in 1890, and what you're doing is seeing those spirits from 1890 walking through the house. So they're not really localized in the bathroom and bedroom at that point. They're literally walking through a path that they
that's
always.
kind of what I was trying to say. Like, what do they see? And that's what I'm guessing is, because if you do get some communication with a spirit that is able either to work through a medium, and anybody at spirit can work with medium. It's if the medium can pick them up and if they choose to communicate with the medium, right? We have free will. But my point is and they'll explain, like, one of the big things, we had a big discussion, again, a paranormal panel on here. We see your question, Lizzie. You're asking great questions. We're going to get to it in just a sec. And many people have talked about, and it's a pet peeve of both Dave and I, especially with the way people treat the dead, right? Especially if you've got somebody that's earthbound. First thing they do, they walk in, how did you die? Or, you're dead, right? Well, a lot of the answers, and I've heard this, not just on the panel, but from many people, they will say, no, you're dead. Or what I've been seeing on ghost boxes on some of the channels I watch, for example, they're not mediums. And a lot of the spirits as of late have been saying, thank you for being respectful, or thank you for being so kind, because I like to watch channels that treat the other side with respect. I don't like when I see somebody walking in and provoking and things like that, because I don't think it's right.
No, and if all we know, and actually I do know, but if all we know, when let's say that people go into that thing and you ask the spirit, so do you know that you're dead? And they look at you and say, no, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know why? Do you know why they could be saying that too? We have so many dimensions right next door to us. There could literally be somebody in their house who feel as real as we do right now, and they're seeing the ghost of the ghost hunter.
We might look that way to them too, Dave. We might look like a ghost to them.
Yeah,
too,
we might resemble
on the dimension that they're seeing us from and where we are.
Because some people have said, sometimes in parts of the spirit world, we are the ghosts in that spirit world, because because heaven, everybody thinks that the other side in heaven is like a far off place, that it's out there, and it's not. It's literally everything's all right here. I know that's going to make people's heads explode, but it really is. Everything is there. I'm going to let you answer this question, Lorilei.
Okay, so Lizzie McLeod asks, so if they're in shock after their passing, can that keep them hanging around their place of death for a while? Remember, there is no time on the other side of space. Time is a man-made concept. I have seen those that die very, very, very quickly, like just like stepping out in the street, boom, bam, gone, hit by a bus, whatever, right? Or if somebody's lost their life in a very quick way that they weren't expecting. You sometimes can see spirits who will be walking around thinking they're still alive. They haven't realized they're no longer in the earthly plane in a physical form. That can happen sometimes. But the other thing is, there's many reasons why spirits choose not to cross over. It could be fear. It could be a belief that due to religious dogma, what's awaiting me, that they're worried they're going to go to hell. The other thing is, some of them, it's revenge. Some of them, they just like being here. They don't want to go to the other side. Some of them want to hang on to their material possessions. There's all kinds of reasons why. And guess what? All of us, it's guaranteed we're not going to live here forever. So eventually we're going to go back home. And guess what? You will have the choice when it's your turn to leave too, whether you're going to go or whether you're going to stay.
Yep. It does happens. I also want to add to hers. After passing, can they keep them hanging around? Hi, Sharon Monroe.
I know what you're going to add. I forgot to add it, but I know what you're going to add.
Maybe you might be surprised, but maybe not. Where are we going? So if it's your belief system too, big time. So if you go around this entire planet, either if you have a strong belief system of what happens to you, sometimes when that quick thing comes, you're covered. You're okay because you pretty much have a recognition of everything. But the other thing is too, if your belief system is like in something really negative, that you also get that as well. But it doesn't last forever. If you're like me, who grew up, I knew about religion, but I didn't give two craps about it at all. I was totally open to whatever in the hell could happen. So it made it really easy for me because they just opened my eyes and ta-da, you're like, cool. You know
what though, Dave, in building on that is that you can pass away just like that, okay? And that doesn't mean automatically that you're going to stay here. Because that's right. Depends on what your belief system is, but it can happen. And I know I've run into a few on the other side who haven't realized that they've passed away. And it can happen. You know what I thought you were going to say to me? I'm trying to remember. My brain is twisting here. Oh, I know what it is I have seen this. Again, there are no hard and fast rules, just like there isn't in the way of life. Yes, we have laws and we have whatever, but there aren't hard and fast rules. But sometimes I will see, many times actually, people will choose, and again, there's no time on the other side, that they will stay with loved ones, okay, before they cross. Some people they'll stay. You'll have a conversation with them as a medium, or like I said, there's ITC you can use. You're not always going to get these answers, but some will stay to make sure their family members are okay, or, kind of help a little bit from the other side. And they can still do that when they cross too. Like, you're not going to stay here. So it just depends.
Yeah, from what I know, even like with near-death experience, you guys, here's the one thing about near-death experiences, which is a bummer. It must be known by the other side that that's exactly what we're doing, because we go directly to the things and it's all good. We don't look back and see the people or anything else yet. That's probably because they're aware that most likely we're coming back, so we don't even put us through that. So when I go, the last time that I go from here, I'm sure it'll be slightly different than the NDE that I had. But I do know that a lot of ghosts, as soon as you go and you open your eyes, or whatever, what I call is you wake up from the dream, because this is the dream. As soon as you wake up from the dream, there's somebody there.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much telling you, hey, this is what's happened. And then
welcome home. Welcome home. We're so happy to see you.
Yeah, and then you have some people who are like, run from that crap. They're like, oh, and then everybody else is very patient. They're like, okay, let him go do what he needs to do. And otherwise, they'll just take you around, and you can choose to be on the earth. Like Lorilei said, a lot of people go watch their funerals.
I know, I was going to say that and I didn't, but they do. They'll go see who comes to the funeral. And I mean, they're not, we're human. I'm humanizing by saying that, like, but they will go. They're mainly there for their loved ones and their family to try and help them.
I get asked. I've taken the opportunity to ask many spirits of, why did you go to your funeral?
And see who was there.
Say they wanted to see how many people were there. Most of them said that probably a large percentage of spirit tells me, as well as my guides, sometimes they can feel the emotions of those people. Mm-hmm. So it's actually part of the process, you understanding how people really felt about you. and like the raw and good feelings. So some of them do it for that reason too. But I guess like Laura Lee said, literally there really is a gray area. There is no specific hard cast rule of how this happens. There is a process that everybody goes through, but the process even is tweaked and it's a little different here and there. I mean, we'll never fully remember while we're here, but the moment it starts, you will remember. Trust me, because there's literally no fear. Yeah,
We got some great questions here. Do you want to answer Lizzie's or you want to answer Sharon's? And we got Facebook user from Central Louisiana. If you'd like Facebook user on Facebook, if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and just say yes, if you're okay with it, for StreamYard to use your picture and name, we will know who you are. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. But please let us know who you are. Otherwise, you just come up. I'll show your comment in a minute as Facebook user. Do you want to answer Lizzie's or do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Lizzie, you said, yeah, that's worried me a bit. My brother went that quick and I don't think he would have known that he passed. I have to say this. I was feeling this so deeply. He's not stuck here, sweetheart. He's not. I really, really feel that he's over on the other side. He's with loved ones. He's with family and he's perfect. He's happy. He's whole. He hears you talking to him. I know you still talk to him. And maybe this is why you were here tonight. Maybe, to ask some of the questions that you have, but so please let those fears go. He is okay. He's happy. He's healthy on the other side, believe it or not, and whole, and no, not running around your human body the way we are. But there's nothing but love on the other side. And I guess maybe that's why, because we don't usually answer mediumship questions here always because they're personal, but I can tell you, like, I'm getting goosebumps. He's just so happy and he's fine. Do you want to add anything, Dave? Because I'm like overwhelmed by the feelings he's almost sending me here. It's so much joy. He's very proud of you, I've heard. I'm not sure what you're doing. You've got a project or something coming up. He knows about it and super proud of you. Go ahead, Dave. I knew you were going to say something.
The only thing, thank you. Thank you. The only thing that they're telling me is, and it's not him specifically. He's communicating through somebody. Yeah, he's fine. He's not stuck here at all. he's not.
That's what I kept hearing. I'm not stuck. I'm not stuck.
He was greeted and went right over. There is an apology, and the apology is, it has to do with. It's hard to translate it. I can feel the apology. It's very sorry that a lot of people didn't get to see him beforehand and things weren't said, but it's all good. If things weren't said to him before I left, it's all good. He actually knows what was supposed to be said. So nobody has to worry about that. And thank you. And they were what? So he's also apologizing to the people who had to see him. And please don't remember him in that way. Please remember him how he was before that, because that's how he is. Basically,
that's why he used happy, healthy, and whole, because I don't usually use those words with the other side, but that's what I literally heard.
Yes, yeah, he's fine. Yeah, so but you can still ask all these questions, because Lizzie, these are questions that a lot of people ask us because they worry about people, and it's because there's so much information out there. And
that's why we started this podcast, because we get questions like this.
Yeah, we get all kinds of questions. Yeah, that's why we do this. But for the most part, you don't have to worry. There are actually, you'd be surprised on how few situations there are where it's something strange and unusual. Okay, it's because you got to remember how many people are here and how many people pass away at any given moment. So yeah, he's just fine. He's
fine. And that's why I said no. It's not like he has a body, but those are the words I heard him say. I'm happy, healthy, and whole. And he's good. I'm going to read this comment. I tried to put up there, you guys, but it almost covers the screen. And we're glad when you leave long comments. It's just that you won't be able to see us if you're watching. I should remind you, if you're just tuning in, you are listening to UFO Paranormal Radio Network. And this is The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin, with the other amazing host of this show, David Hanzel. And if you want to watch the show, you can head over to UFO Paranormal Radio, either Facebook, YouTube, or you can head over to the Spirit Experience, Dave's YouTube channel, or you've got your group. So it's just people if they're a member of your group, right, Dave, the Spirit Experience?
Yeah, the Spirit Experience.
And then also I'm streaming to my group too, Paranormal University, because Facebook wouldn't allow me to stream to my profile tonight. And then I'm also on YouTube under the Angel Rock. So do you want to read that? Do you want me to read it, Dave, or can you see the comment? The Facebook comment?
I got an answer for Sharon Monroe's question. Which one did you have?
Well, there's Facebook user. Do you want me to? Well, if you're ready to answer, Sharon, how about you do that and then we'll go back. But we'll say Zachman says.
Okay, I'll answer Sharon and then you go ahead and pop that one up there.
Okay, well, Zachman says watching my own funeral would be entertaining.
I think it would be entertaining to watch your funeral too. I mean, it probably.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Sharon Monroe says, do you think your relatives from long ago that you've never know that you are related to them? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, your ancestors, some of your ancestors that went before you are actually with you now because of reincarnation. But yeah, you have many ancestors that you are blood related to or strong relationship here that you don't know in this life who might have left before you. But you also got to this is the easiest thing to keep in mind. Once you're not here anymore, when you're no longer in the human experience, we are not bound by blood. We are not bound by by look, by anything, by a family, by anything like that. You're a spirit and you have a soul family.
Or family, yeah, soul group.
We call it a soul family because, you guys, there are literally some words that aren't even written to describe a certain thing on the other side. We really do have a very limited vocabulary in that sense. But yeah, no, they know if you had a great grandpa and you've never met him before, but you see his picture and you feel a connection, because yes, it's most likely part of your soul family, and that person knows exactly who you are. He knows exactly that you're in that family, and he knows that he most likely will reincarnate into that family somewhere later on too as well, or another one. There's no rules.
No rules. So I'm going to read this. I'm not going to highlight it, guys, because it's long. It was covering the screen. So this is from Facebook user. Hello, everyone from Central Louisiana. People who clear out old war battlefields, like from the Civil War, say that they're I think that there may be hundreds, thousands of souls still there who do not know they are dead. Some with old Indian burial grounds. Many people who were murdered will stay until they get justice. Not always. As you know, many mediums work with law enforcement and are very successful. Yes, I do. I follow that, actually. I really enjoy watching psychic detectives. But again, there's no hard and fast rules. I do want to answer this, Dave. I know you got your 2 cents worth to put in too. So when you're saying there may be hundreds and thousands of souls there, a lot of times, like especially in Gettysburg, and I've seen many video clips, and it's just residual energy, which means it's like an energy loop, if you will. The ground will hold the energy. Everything's energy, right? So you can literally see things playing out, over and over and over. That would be residual. Intelligent haunting would be that the person in spirit or being is able to interact with us human beings in a certain capacity, whether it's through a medium, you might be able to feel them, ITC, intertrans communication devices. There's lots of different ways. So I can't necessarily agree with the fact that, yeah, there probably is hundreds and thousands of people who did lose their lives there, and that's very sad. But I don't think they're all trapped here. Definitely not.
No, I have to agree with Lorilei. And I'll tell you something that I know that this is something I know that I base a lot of my, how we have knowledge on the inside, and when people ask a question, we can base it on the knowledge that we know. And the knowledge that we know is a lot of times, especially like in civil wars or wars, the people who are fighting in those wars were signed up to fight in that war long before they signed up here. So they are very well aware that they're going to be in a war. And when they go to war, they are very well aware that they could most likely lose their life. So most of them know, just because of the fact, like I said, even when they went into battle, just having that awareness in your head that you may I don't know if
lose your life.
Can I
You
say
may
murder?
lose your
Lose
life.
your life. So if you may lose your life, they're already set up for it. So that belief system's already there. But I'm not seeing that there's not a couple there who might still be hanging
I
around.
agree. There can be some, but not thousands and
Thousands.
thousands.
And I agree with Lorilei as far as I've seen all the videos, and I do know even from my guides and spirits that there is in war fields there is a residual because the energy was fought so strongly during that war that was literally. I tell people sometimes our actions are like silly putty. Do you guys know what silly putty is? If you took silly putty and you pushed it down in a piece of paper and held it there and lifted it up, the picture will
Like
be
comic strips, eh? Like with the old ink, we used to
yep,
do
or
that all the
comic strips.
time.
It'll be on the silly putty. Basically, a lot of that time you're looking at a piece of silly putty. You're looking at
That's
the
a
image
good
that was
example.
picked up. And sometimes it's distorted because silly putty can stretch and things happen. But yeah, I agree with Laura Lee. I have to say, I'm sure there might be a couple there for this, that, and the other reason. But don't ever worry about hundreds of thousands. It'd be like if you said, when trust me, and the other side knows when this thing is going to happen and they're quite aware of these traumatic events, so they're there already. 9/11.
Oh, you just read my mind. I was just thinking of that.
9/11 was another one. There are certain mediums. I wasn't practicing a lot at the time, so I'm not one of them. But I talked to a lot of other mediums and everything who said, and my guys even kind of said it, there were like thousands and thousands and thousands of angels literally around that building at the time it was going to happen because that was something that was supposed to happen.
Predetermined.
Yeah, and everything. So as soon as people were done, they were there to say, okay, hi, you're back, you did it, and that's it. Same goes with plane crashes too. Most souls that, like if a plane crash has no survivors, every soul on that plane knew that was the time. We don't, but our soul always knows. So it'd be like saying all those people on the plane are stuck because they didn't know the plane crashed. They're not. Trust me, there is nothing over there that wants to bring harm to anybody here.
You know
That
what, so Dave, I just thought of that with a plane crash, actually, you would, or something with a large amount of people, I think you would have a better chance of never being stuck because everybody's going, come on, everybody's here, let's go. We've all agreed to leave. Like, come on, no, you're not staying behind. Nobody's being left behind on the battlefield. Come on.
Now I've saw movies where they said like what was that, Ghost Whisperer? There was a plane crash thing and all the people were there and they're trying to go over like that. But I don't know how accurate that is. I've asked other spirits. I'm not sure of the accuracy if it's right or wrong, or am I right or wrong? But everybody who goes, it's an individual experience. So even if we were 20 of us were sitting in a truck and the truck exploded,
That would make
we
sense.
all have our individual experience.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
But I've also heard, let's throw something else into the mix. We'll take 9/11, for example. All of those souls who lost their lives made an agreement as a group that, yes, we were going to do this as a group to lose our lives. They knew this was an event that was predetermined because there was a lot of changes that went into effect after that. So they did an agreement as a huge soul group, not a soul family, soul group. Now, again, we don't have all the answers. We're not experts.
I don't know everything.
From our knowledge base and what we receive from spirit. And we're not always 100% right. But that made sense to me. I don't know. What do you think about that? But I hear you, though, Dave, too, because yeah, we build in our experiences, including when we exit and how we exit and when we leave. So
Yeah.
it could be individual too.
And the only reason I was really kind of believe in spirit when I heard it, well, one, because they're never wrong. But
no, they're not.
They're really not wrong. If they're wrong, it's because we interpret it different. I'll take the blame all the time because it's like, nope, I heard it wrong. But when I was in a hospital, a very large hospital with a very large amount of people, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who have passed away at that time I was in there, but my experience was individual. So it all depends. Maybe it all depends. I guess it's a great question, but I have to go with what I know now. But Lorilei and I are these kind of people. If we have something and that can change our minds, our belief system, we will totally go. Yep, you were right. We were
Absolutely.
wrong. I don't mind. I don't mind that at all.
No, and I have changed my mind. I know I have about things, say, from 15 years ago, 5 years ago, because
Oh,
the
I did too.
older,
I used to think that as soon as you went over to the other side, you were in this world that looked like this, and there were carnivals and people going to concerts and watching movies. And yes, that happens, but it's a different way than you think. But and it wasn't like that at all. But it was. See, I thought it was way better. So I tell you, you
I
can.
study near-death experiences for, like, and I've said this many times, but professionally as well as personally. And you, for those of you new to the show, Facebook user says loving the show. Thank you. We love having you guys here. You guys direct the show by the questions and what you want to talk about. So I think I've had a near-death experience as a toddler. Dave's had one as an adult. But everything is different. Like, there is no such thing as a typical near-death experience either. And I think we build in, even, say we have some religious dogma in life, and we're afraid what awaits us on the other side. Maybe we didn't do so in our own eyes. We didn't do something maybe so great, or maybe we're afraid we're going to be punished. So the person stays, right? I believe we've built that in as well into our life, our experience. That's after our life. I realize that, but we haven't crossed over to go back home yet, if you will, because nobody is stuck permanently here. Just so you know that nobody is stuck. Like, you have to want to go. All you got to do is say, hey, or
It might seem like stuck, but it's always going to be your choice. There's literally nothing holding you here except your choice. That's it.
mm-hmm.
Oh, well, thank you, Lizzie. Lizzie said she's loving the show, and we're both great. And I agree with you. I agree with you completely. I'm kidding. We are.
No, we're glad you're here, and you're here for a reason, Lizzie, just like all of you are. Erica's sharing some interesting stories here.
Can I comment on this? And I'm going to make a comment on this, but like
Where
I
do you
said,
want me to go? Because she was talking about when her daddy passed away, and then about her daughter. Is that weird?
The 9/11 one, because you were just on it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see.
Her daughter was actually born on 9/11, 2001.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, I had that highlighted. Hang on. There we go. Is that what you want, or you want below?
No, that's fine too.
I'll highlight as you're reading if you want.
Yeah, where did it go? And okay, so Erica says some people say my daughter is one of them since she was born on 9/11. She said that she was taking advice from those going up as she was going down. Listen, the chances of a spirit of 911 going from 911 directly back into life is slim. I'm not going to say that they haven't, but I do know this. How do I put this? Most spirits who go over, who pass away here and immediately come back are usually not good people, or they haven't learned something. That's why they turn right back around. Or because people have said, what happens to bad people? I'm like, most of the time they turn back around and they're right back here again. They got to finish something. But there's also the chance that did happen.
It was predetermined. Predetermined.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that. That's exactly the right words. It could have been predetermined that most likely you're going to be in this. If this happens, most likely you are going to turn around and just come back again. Also, if that soul, if it's important for that, really important for that soul to still be here for whatever reason, yes, absolutely. They would turn right back around and come here. I'm not sure. I always say this. I treat every soul as if it's the first time here, not as if it's returning, not as if it's a reincarnation, not as if everything. Because according to all the souls, including ourselves, we don't have that memory. We have very little of that memory.
True, but I will say, because I'm absolutely fascinated and done a ton of research on this, on children, because I believe babies remember I think we remember who we are and where we come from. But as we start to get a little bit older, usually around 3 years old, 4 years old, we start to lose a lot of that connection to the other side, as well as memory of who we really are. But there is a little boy, I believe, I want to say his name is James, and he was around 4 years old. And this was only a year or so after 9/11. I know it wasn't right away. He knew who he was. He was in 9/11. He picked his picture out. He told them his name. He told what his name was as an adult to his parents. He told his parents who his wife was, where he had lived. He knew everything about it. And they were able to confirm that indeed this child, I mean, not with 100% certainty, but I mean, there was no way this child would have known the things that he knew. So can it happen? Yeah. How about this? Anything can happen. Like I said, we don't have all the answers.
Well, how many 5 and 6 year olds, like after, like 6, 7 years after that happened, remembered 9/11? Because, and that's funny because I didn't spend much time on the other side. It was only like 7 years, so they must have needed to come back.
But there's no time on the other side, so it could have been eons to them, right? Like,
so they could have went through a whole bunch of learning.
Well, if you look at Betty Eady, she was one of the first people to come out with her story of a near-death experience, and her book is called Enter into the Light. I remember it was the first book I read. I was just 17. My hairdresser told me about it. Now, if you read her book, now it's not this thick, it's about this thin. Now, her near-death experience happened over a couple hours during the night, off and on, I guess. She had had a hysterectomy and was slowly bleeding. So it almost seemed like she was going between her heart would stop, then start back up, and OBE. Well, just let me finish this. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I'm sorry. That was, I know exactly what I'm giving validity to that story.
Okay. So what I was going to say, though, if you read her story, she sounds like she was over on the other side for months. And maybe she really was in Earth time, if you will, but there is no time on the other side. So like I say, we don't have all the answers. I don't think any of us do. It'd be great if we did. I will tell you this, though, and I've heard Earth called Earth School. I do know there are souls lined up to come here, because this is the place to be. If you want to grow and learn and evolve your soul, and you should celebrate anybody and tell anybody that you should celebrate yourself for being here. You had the courage to come here with spiritual amnesia, meaning most of us don't remember a thing from the other side, right? We agreed to come here into these dense, heavy, fragile bodies. We know it's not going to be easy, but I am telling you, this is the place to do the most learning and growing and evolving of our souls. I truly believe it.
Yeah, that's what they say. And the expansion is a lot faster coming here, because that's really your goal in it. When you were saying before, I wanted to validate that, what you said and what she's saying, because my actual near death, it was very short. The actual death part, but during the entire coma, I was in and out and all that, having the OBEs. So that's all there. So yep, that's absolutely true. Erica said something about, thank you so much, Heffron Paranormal.
That's Robin. Hey, Robin.
Robin, you're fantastic as well, you Robin.
Yeah, he's got a great podcast, and oh my God, is it Talking with the Source? I was on this, and his co-host AJ, he's amazing. AJ's been on the Angel Rock before, and I want to have Robin and AJ on. And Robin, I've noticed a few of our peeps here in our chat have been heading over and chatting with you and AJ and watching your podcast. They've got a great podcast too, guys.
Awesome. I'll have to watch it sometime.
That's awesome.
I'm really bad watching podcasts, which is so fun.
Robin, you'll have to hit Dave up. I'm not volunteering him, but I'm telling you, you guys would love to have him on your podcast. I've gone on there before a couple of times actually, and had great discussions like this. So hang on. So
Erica had mentioned because of the fact that her daughter was born in 9/11, somebody told her that
she's going to be the Antichrist. That one, okay, yeah.
You know what, you guys? I'm going to tell you something about Antichrist. Okay, Antichrist is literally something that is not Christ-like. Okay, so that's pretty much describes a large part of our politicians and everything else. So Antichrist isn't one person. Plus, Antichrist is only relevant to Christianity, because in every other culture there's no Antichrist.
Yeah, but we know what she means by
But
the
we know
name.
what she
Like, we
means.
know
I
what she
thought that was
means, but
funny.
it was not a nice thing to say
I
about
would, yeah, I would have smacked that person upside the head.
Yeah. So the one thing I was going to add, Erica, and anybody else out there, whether you adopt or, you look after whatever, whether it's a human being or a pet or whatever, but you have somebody to care and love and nurture. Okay. You know that individual best. You really, really do. So what I'm going to say is go with your heart and go with your gut feeling. So if you believe, for example, and thank you for sharing that, Erica, with your experience with your daughter. If you believe that that happened, go with it. You know what? It's not going to hurt anybody if you really believe that. And nobody's going to know her better than you as her mom, except she'll know herself differently and better now that she's an adult. But what I'm saying is go with what you feel and what you pick up. Right? As long as it's not hurting anybody, it doesn't matter. We could tell you it's right or it's wrong, but if you feel it, go with it.
Yeah, it's true. Whenever, as
Oh,
a
I want you, Dave. Robin wants you on. I want him on. So I'll connect you guys, Robin, afterwards.
I tried to find your thing just now, but I couldn't.
I'll connect you guys.
Oh, gotcha. I'm there because now I can do stuff now. I had something I was going to say about something, and now I cannot remember.
Keep talking. That's what happens to me. If you keep talking, you'll come
I
back. Then you just cut me right off and jump in.
I tried to friend request you. I've got so many people that I joined. I want to talk about this. So I joined a near death group on Facebook because you guys, like we said before, it is never time to. There's never a time to stop learning. We learn from the day we become who we are till the day we leave here. Hi, Howie.
We're going to be on Howie's show too, July the 9th, Sunday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I remember the Rift Network. Howie show is the Orion Effect. So guys, check it out. It's got a great network too. Sorry, I wanted to throw that in.
Yes. Now, I totally, it dropped. It totally left me. Maybe it wasn't that important, but it's.
Yes, it was important. It was, and I had it too, and now it's left me. If you guys remember what we were saying before I rudely interrupted Dave, can you throw it in the chat? We'll pick it up with what he was talking about.
Yeah, we're all over the place. I just kind of picked it up my butt there. Lots of people told me tons of things, think she's 21 and she's amazing. Yes, exactly.
I'm going to project that Zach is going to remind us what you were saying before, because Zach usually does. If I ask him, somebody in the chat will, I'll ask them, what was I just saying? If I happen to forget, and usually Zach will remind me.
I had this point, but obviously it was a really crappy point because I don't remember it.
I wanted to shout Howie out though, because he's usually at work, and then he can only pop in for a sec. So that's why I jumped in so.
Oh no, you didn't interrupt me, and I was losing it already. I had. Listen, if a thought goes from my head, it probably wasn't a thought worth saying.
No, you were saying something that was interesting. I remember that. I'm going to read Lizzie's comment here too, because she says, yeah, I totally believe real life is on the other side and we are here on Earth to learn. I think so too. What do you think?
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely true. You want to know what else, you guys? Since we call this the thing at the foot of the bed, and I want to tell people something that part of our experience here is to experience the weird and unusual as well. Whether the weird and unusual exists only on this planet or on the other side, it's something you wanted to experience. So if you are a ghost hunter now, or investigator, I like to say better, most likely that's something you were supposed to do. So just remember that we are always We're
talking about learning and growing, and I remember that you were talking about that before I interrupted, about learning and growing, and from the day we are born to the day we die. About that just came back to me. You were talking about that.
And I still don't have a point to it.
don't have a point. I was literally hearing all this as I heard you
Guys,
talking.
this is the thing at the foot of the bed first.
Okay. Zach goes, I can't remember either. Zach, you're letting me down. I predict. I'm just joking, Zach. He goes, I can't remember what we were talking about, but wherever we go, I'm enjoying the conversation. Well, we're glad to hear that we enjoy you guys. Oh, Howie has a question.
Goodness.
You want to read it?
Yeah, sure. Howie says, hey, have a question. Do you believe the God mentioned in the Bible, the true God, or was it the God Jesus mentioned, are all the same? My personal belief, well, actually, it's more of a knowing. One, God does not describe everything there is, because people use it in a plural sense. So they'll say gods or something, because gods is
They
a
don't
definition.
call God on the other side either, do they? They don't have a problem with you calling
Yeah,
God,
nobody's on
but
the other side going, yeah. And it's funny. Oh, I remembered what I was going to say now.
there
It's
you go.
about near-death experiences. Some people, when they have a near-death experience, will see like angels or say, I talked to God and all this, because that's the way they needed to relate to it. I don't believe that God is Jesus and Jesus is God, because Jesus always had said even that we are all the same. So Jesus's character or energy came here to let us know about what we can do and kind of give us like a little something to push, a little couple rules to do and a little couple things to do in order to experience this life fully. So we're all part of that. And I don't, some people believe that Jesus was God, and that's not true, because, and then some people have said, well, God can't come down here because the energy is too much. I'm like, we're all God, so God is
I'm
here.
going to add something to Howie's question, but Lizzie just reminded you what you were talking about, and you were.
There you
She's
go.
right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, the NDE Facebook group. So I was on this Facebook group, and I've studied a lot of NDEs. So has Lorilei. I have came to the conclusion, just my, I don't know what that's called. I did all the research, and this is my conclusion to that there's probably about 10% of NDE people who see a hell experience, or they see this whole religious experience. In that NDE group, there's a gentleman talked about his NDE, and he went on to talk about that he met Jesus and God, and that he came back to tell people that it is true. If they really don't do this, they won't be accepted into heaven and all this other stuff. Right then and there, I had to say I didn't call him out, but I said, that's a very odd NDE, because I have never met an NDE person who had a less than positive experience about something. And we were never to come back to warn people about anything. I don't know NDE people who warn people. We tell people, like I always tell people, you don't die. I'm not warning you. I'm warning you. You jump off that bridge, you're not dying. It's not a.
I'm going to pull this all together with Howie's and everything. Okay, so where I'm going to go with this is with this God question. People, depending on what religion you follow or belief system, a lot of people will say, my God is better than your God, and this and that. Guess what? They're one and the same. Okay. And you could go to the other side. You can call him, her. The source is what I have heard. The power, the being that has created this all, and what doesn't have a problem if you call them God, okay? But they aren't an old man sitting up on a throne with robes and a white beard. He might appear that way, maybe he, she, they, when you first cross over, for example, and you're getting your bearings, if that's what you need to see. Say you don't realize. I've seen people who have had experiences like that said they didn't realize they had passed, didn't know who this being of love was beside them. I can tell you right now, the English word love does not even account.
No, it doesn't. It's not even close.
To the feeling you feel over on the other side. But where was I going with this now? Howie says, he says, oh, we can talk about my side with you all on July the 9th. That's right. Cool. Now with NDEs, okay, I have a theory, being a nurse, what happens, and there are people that have hell experiences. And I will tell you right now, I agree 100% with David that if somebody is coming back from an NDE experience promoting a fear-based narrative, meaning I'm coming back to warn you, this is what's going to happen if you don't. I'm not negating that they've had a NDE. What I'm going to say is, for whatever reason, that was built into their experience. I don't know what they're going to take from it, what they're going to learn, but I'm going to tell you right now, that was not coming from across the veil, whatever you want to call it, going back home, because there's nothing but love. But the reason why I believe, with a lot of research, why people may have a hell-based experience, a lot of times based on belief systems, right? What awaits you. But I have seen experiencers who, I think I'm going to give the example, and I'm going to go as quick as I can so I'm not talking too long here. But there was this young guy that was at a army base. I guess everybody went home for the weekend, and he was a private. I guess he was lowest ranking. 3 other guys were with him, didn't have money to go home. So they were hanging out all over, doing whatever till everybody got back to the base. As he told the story, they found this shed they hadn't seen on the base before. They went in there, and there was a noose hanging. And the guys were joking, saying this one guy was taking pictures of everything. He had one picture left. They go, wouldn't that be cool if somebody put that noose around their neck? And they, it looked like they were hanging. We could use that last picture. Now, what this guy that was the private didn't realize was he obviously was volunteered to go do it because he was lowest ranking. He didn't realize that these guys had decided they were going to pull on the noose as a joke. Okay. So they did snap the pic, and then everybody went and sat down. There were some benches around. Apparently one of the guys in this quartet kept nagging at one of the other guys, can I have a Snickers, please? Can I have a Snickers? Can I have one of your Snickers, please, please, please? Because he had this big care package, and the guy wouldn't give him any. Okay. So this private sitting there watching everything, not really interacting, just kind of sitting on, with them, hanging out. Everybody was talking. He didn't have anything to add, he thought. And all of a sudden, one of the guys looks up and says, oh my God, you guys, I don't think he's joking. And he looked, and then that's when he realized there he was, completely blue, head flopped over, if you will, and he went into this hellish experience the moment he realized it was his body. My theory is, did his heart completely stop? Because there's multi dimensions, right? And I think that when we pass from here, the silver cord is severed, if you will, with our etheric body, we go right up top level dimension where we're meant to go. But say you only had maybe 1 or 2 heartbeats per minute, for example, or maybe just a little hint of a breath. You haven't quite completely flatlined, if you will. What if you actually almost got stuck in one of those lower dimensions as well? I think the most common experience would be religious dogma and belief systems, but could it happen? And I've heard other people also have this theory too. What do you think, Dave?
No, that's true, because there's, I tell you about the good parts of my NDE, but trust me, there are some parts of my NDE that were not
pleasant.
They were not pleasant at all. And that was probably the 2 things were seeing me dying over and over again as different people, but the animals, being put in the place of animals.
Oh, you told me all that, yeah.
Slaughter. And then I also went through shaman sickness, I guess people could say, where I was pulled apart. I was ripped apart until there was nothing left of the soul. Went through everything, every bad thing. They just took out muck. But then when it was done, I was like, oh, I feel great. That might be what some people describe as hell. So I can understand that, because our NDE experience is just what it is. It's an experience. So usually whatever the NDE we had, it was doing something to bring us forward when we come back here again. It was giving us something to, okay, now you got this glimpse. Now you know this. Now you can go forward. And it's like, perfect. Gotcha. So I won't doubt that there's places people have seen. I do know that there's the only place that exists as far as the fiery hell thing goes, the religious part, is only through religion. Because before religion, there was no such thing as hell. But when religion came in, they brought in the word hell and then put it from there.
Well, yeah, but if you think about it, right? So every thought we have, every emotion, everything, and we don't all have positive thoughts. We don't, right? It's energy. It's got to go somewhere. So my thoughts are there are lower astral realms where the not so pleasant things are. They got to go somewhere, right? So what if you ended up in one of those dimensions?
That's Dante's Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see Dante's Inferno?
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar with the name.
Some people have suggested that what Dante's Inferno wrote about, because that was like dying or whatever, like about the hell experience, is that he actually in his near death, or some people I believe went to one of the 7 lower levels.
I didn't finish this guy's experience quickly. I just want to throw in there. So when they cut him down, they didn't even end up calling an ambulance. Like it was literally like he started breathing again and whatever else. But he talked about his experience, how an angel, it was either an angel or the hand of Jesus, he thought, who had saved him. He was in this dark pit and this monstrous thing was chasing him and throwing him around. And he was in the worst pain he'd ever been in. And all of a sudden there was this little pinprick of light and it came down and this hand came. And so he's very religious now, whereas he never was before. Now, why? I don't know. Maybe he built that into his experience. Maybe he was meant to do what he's doing now. It could be able to help another individual possibly, or maybe it's something he's supposed to experience.
There might be something religious thing. Something he's not remembering too, which maybe during his near death and he went back, he said, okay, you wanted to know what it was like to be on this side of the religious part. So we're going to send you back and let you go ahead with that part because you didn't get there. Who knows? There's a lot.
He didn't talk about anything, though. Just he had this hand reach and grab him. And I think if I remember correctly, he thought it was Jesus and something about you need to change the way you're living your life, blah, blah, blah. But this guy didn't sound like a bad guy. And he said, I hadn't really lived long enough to really do anything bad. I'll have to see if I can find it again. He had me in tears because this guy was in, and I'm not a crier, he was in so much fear and pain, the way he described this experience. That it really touched my heart. Like it really had such a profound experience, but he didn't have there is no typical NDE, but he did not have a typical NDE. There was no, somebody, a being beside you of love or anything. It was a very negative experience, but he doesn't look at it that way. Like he's quite happy with who he is and where he is now, but it's a lot of religious dogma.
Lorilei, I totally understand that because my experience, as bad, as scary as it was, I don't view it now as a negative experience. I can tell you it wasn't fun, but it's not a negative experience because it actually helped me. I just get a quick, Howie had said about or we don't fully come back fully or we come back different. Correct. Correct, Howie. We'll have to talk about this on your podcast because I am a totally different person.
Oh, that's true. He doesn't even look the same.
Yeah, I am so. I can see like my pictures back in my band days where I had the long hair and I resemble this now.
You were so much bigger. Like you were never overweight, David.
Yeah,
pictures. You don't even look the same.
But even personality-wise, ethic-wise, how I view the world and everything is different. I mean, some of the stuff I cared so deeply about, that experience, all that stuff is gone. I literally have no care about it whatsoever, which is really odd because I spent 20, 30 years trying to have something. So we do come back differently, Howie. And I had told Lorilei this. Sometimes I wish everybody would build that into their life here so they could go, oh, just remember for that moment. But maybe that would defeat the purpose. I don't know.
Maybe they'll have it in a different experience though, right?
That's true. It's all fun. I love metaphysics and I love chatting and I love learning about all kinds of things.
Well, this is Facebook user. We're not sure who you are, but thank you. They said very interesting. This really connects with information talking to the deceased, or that the deceased have expressed. Well, thank you.
That's, hon, whoever that is, that's very true because there's a lot of deceased people that I talk to or spirits on the other side. This is really quite comical, you guys. So, and this is really cool synchronicity too. I've had a lot of readings where the loved ones passed.
Hi, Cheryl.
passed from the same things that I passed away from. So I'll do a reading, and their loved one will come through. And in the beginning, I kept getting a signal like me, like me. So when I asked, how did you go? If they would come back and it would be like me. They'd point at me. I had no clue what they were talking about. And then they'd give me the symptoms. I'd tell the person, and that person would go, yeah, they had pancreatitis, or they had sepsis, or they had pneumonia. I'm like, oh my God. So now when spirits say like me, I know what they died of because
Know what they mean.
but
Go ahead.
it's really interesting though.
I'll say, well, this is Cheryl Hines. She's been on my show, The Angel Rock. She is an earth angel. She's amazing. And she's written a book. Cheryl, feel free to type the name in the chat. I'm sorry. I have so many authors on. I can't always remember the name.
Cheryl.
But she does mediumship and things like this. She's very spiritual and just an absolute delight. So I'm so glad she popped in here tonight. That's nice to see you. Thank you.
Lorilei, do you find it odd though, as somebody who has been through this kind of thing, to now be talking to the very people who are still there? It's,
I don't know I'm not quite sure what you mean, Dave.
It kind of floors me because I'm talking to people who are in the place that I was.
I see what you're saying. Well, not really, I guess,
Because I guess I'm really not. Because actually, as an NDE,
I almost feel okay. This is what Spirit just gave me. Okay, it's kind of like we're on a vacation, right? Because there is no time. I know it doesn't feel like a vacation, guys. There is no time and space on the other side. It's like the blink of an eye, and we are eternal beings. So they literally, and you tell me if this is right, it's almost like the other side is just checking in, like, you know how you'd send a postcard kind of thing, but now you're connecting with them. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just a hey, how's it going kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm waiting for one to send me a postcard that says "Wish you were here" and be like, oh,
"Not yet,
not yet." Yeah, when I come back. I think
how's your vacation go? I know what you're saying, though. You were already. I hear what you're saying.
It's a tough. Yeah, it's kind of weird and it's fun. It is 8:48. Is there anybody new on here? Should we do our pull a card for somebody?
Well, we could, but we did, and I was Lizzie asked such great questions.
Go back. Okay, well then forget that. Let's go back to Lizzie.
Well, no, we did Lizzie's reading about her brother. Remember, she said she was worried he was stuck here because he left so quickly. I know that Cheryl is
came in so fast. I didn't consider to read. See, this is the weird thing, you guys. When you asked about how close they are, when the information comes in really close, it's literally like it's just all happening. It didn't even feel like a reading.
There's her book. Thank you, Cheryl. She put it in here, Embracing Your Empath, an ebook by Cheryl. She's amazing. She's
Canadian. You know what? I will encourage anybody to go out and buy these books, whether you agree with them when you read them or not, because it's always really good, because there's to take this information to, like Lorilei said earlier in the podcast, learn from all kinds of people. Because everybody sees things differently. Every mediumship does things differently. I talk out loud to my people because I have a regular conversation just like we're having right here. It's the only way I can get the information.
Well, we're going to let you know in just a minute, Erica, how to book with us. But Dave and I do free readings from time to time. We didn't even get a chance this week to ask each other, but we've been trying to do that, and we will try a little bit more, Dave, now that your schedule's a little bit more flexible, right?
Yeah,
where we've gone live. I'm speaking without asking Dave first, but we've done it before. We do go live on TikTok from time to time. We'll talk about the show like Wednesday nights. Now it doesn't have to be Wednesday nights, so.
No, and in all honesty, Lorilei, we could actually go live in my Facebook group and do readings too. So you guys, maybe we should do that too, because we're trying to cross promote everybody else too. So
I was thinking that because some people don't have TikTok, and then there's Instagram. Dave and I have social media profiles like pretty well everywhere. Erica, the name of her book, Cheryl's book, it's right here. I'll highlight it for you again, or else feel free You can get a hold of Cheryl. If anybody's listening, it's Embracing Your Empath, an ebook by Cheryl M. Hines. And you can contact Cheryl at spiritualalchemy101@gmail.com. And Erica, if you go through, or anybody else listening, on my YouTube channel, which is the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin, and you go under the live tab, you can see the show that I did with Cheryl. She's, like I said, she's a fellow Canadian, and she's on TikTok. I know she is. So yeah, check her out.
We might consider making just a Facebook page group, maybe just for the thing at the foot of the bed.
That might be a good idea. Maybe we should, because that's where we could share pictures sometimes if we can't pull it up or whatever.
Pictures of the show, and then we can let anybody in the group show pictures of the show. We can answer questions. You can, who knows, maybe you can watch it live there, or
That's a good idea, Dave. Maybe we'll do that. That sounds like it might be a good idea.
Yeah, just to give you guys a bigger outlet. Just since you asked that question, so if you ever want to get a hold of me or Lorilei, we'll tell you how to get a hold of us at the end of the show, which is coming up pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to pull a card? I got to grab a deck here. Sorry, guys. I do have shorts on, if you see shorts, but hang on. Let me grab a deck here. What do I want to grab?
I don't know. Are we
Well, we could pull a card just for anybody. You want to do that?
For Howie, man. I'm going to pull a card. I am, because I don't know Howie is
That's
much.
really good. You know why? Because I bet Howie doesn't get a lot of cards pulled for him, because he does what we do.
I'm going to pull a card for you, Howie. I'm sorry, it's probably going to be a shorter general, but I'll pull a card for you because, yeah, like I said, a lot of us don't get stuff pulled for us. And since I don't know Howie very well yet, I'll mean more.
That's what we try and do. We always ask each other usually, or even when we're live, do you know this person? And it may be one of my people or one of his people. So then I don't know his people and he doesn't know my people. But now we're one big happy family being here.
Yeah, everybody's people. Okay, I see you.
He says, I don't like to be read. However, he bows. He says, I accept. Well, it's just a card, so he won't. Right?
How do you know you don't like to be read? This isn't. Trust me. They must know that because this card that they gave me. This is a deck I've been using for 8 years. It's called View from Above. Literally, all they're saying is, Howie, so you're progressing on a lot of stuff. The stuff that you're hindered on, they said, just step back, look at it from above. You'll see exactly where it's supposed to go. Because sometimes it's not as clear in front of when it's right in front of us. Sometimes we have to step up here. Or if somebody is in our way, sometimes you have to step back and see why they're in the way. That's all they're saying. View from above. Just see, they're suggesting that you see things more from the observer point of view, not as much as a participant sometimes.
Okay, I think, hang on one sec, I'll read this because this is really quick and easy. I have never pulled a card like this. So anybody who's looking for an answer and you're wondering, should I do it or shouldn't I? Now, don't just necessarily go with this answer. Feel into it. Does this feel right? Okay, because I literally got a yes. Go for it. I never have got this card before. So if you're feeling maybe you're not too sure, you're torn yes or no. I never have gotten this before, so that's quite interesting. Howie says, I would agree. Lastly, then we got to get out of here, guys. A Facebook user, so Cheryl, I think that is, she says, I think making your own foot of the bed group is a wonderful idea. Y'all have fun. Have wonderful fun and informative shows. Thank you. Well, thank you.
You guys, 99.9% chance we will have one up within the next week or two.
Yes. Okay, Dave, you want to tell them where you can go? Because we got to get out of here. You guys stay tuned. Amelia Pisano, Michelle DeRoche. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so if you'd like to get a hold of me, know that I will never, ever, ever DM you. Neither will Lorilei. We don't solicit our readings through private messenger. We'll give you a place to find us. Mine is at theywhispertome.com. You can book a reading or find out more about me. Also, if you're interested in a double reading or dual reading, you can go to my friend indialee.com, Leigh. We do booked readings together every Friday. They're very unusual. They're a combination of guide channel, tarot, and all kinds of stuff. She's more of healing modality. I'm more of weirdo mentality. So yeah, that's where you can get a hold of me. I am on TikTok, Instagram, and everything else. It's Spirit Experience on YouTube. You can find me if you type in at Medium David Hanzel. At Medium David Hanzel. Take it away, Lorilei.
Okay, that's all right. Sorry, sometimes I have a delay and I didn't mean to talk over Dave, but stay tuned, you guys. Second night of the Outer Realm, Wednesdays and Thursday nights with Michelle DeRoger and Amelia Pisano coming up right after this. So if you want to get a hold of me, guest ideas, show suggestion, you want to book a reading, maybe you want to book a healing session, maybe mentoring, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. I have 2 groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and the Angel Rocker Tribe for many of the spiritual things. I will be back this Monday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Angel Rock. I forgot to check to see who I'm having on, but they will be awesome. I always have wonderful guests. I got a great PR agent I work with. Okay, you guys, stay tuned for the next show coming up with Michelle and Amelia. We love you. We will get that group up and have a good rest of your weekend. Are you ready, Dave? Are we going to do it?
1, 2. What's at the foot of the door?
Almost. One of these days we're gonna do it right on.
It's gonna be easy. If they, you know what, you guys, if they put us in a studio at the same time, sitting next to each other, we'd have that down pat in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, we'll do it one of these days.
We'll do it. We'll get it. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next Thursday, and I'll see you on Monday here. Take care. Much love.